Well, it's March, and it's Beloit today for March of 2010. Hard to believe, huh?
Yes, it is.
And March is one of those months, you know, kind of transition months, isn't it?
March Madness.
March Madness and
Spring.
Spring. That's why we're standing, so we can jump
Right.
up, right?
Right.
Okay. And they say about March that it comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb.
Yes, but this month we might have March coming in like a fox.
A fox. What does that have to
That's
do
a
with
tease.
What does that have to do with the city of Beloit? I don't know, but we will find out. March is also the time of year where you start thinking about, at least some people, start thinking about projects outside and working on their house. And Drew Pennington is going to talk to us a little bit about the Landmarks Commission. So if you own a historic house, some things you need to keep in mind.
And we have a new facility that is going to be opening in March,
Yep.
and we're going to go and preview that.
That's right. So I sort of feel like we should say march on or something, right?
March forward.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, this is Pam Lathrop and Steve Gregg
Marching,
opening the show.
Marching forward. Well, as the days are getting longer, the more light, you start thinking about working outside and doing projects. And with me today is Drew Pennington, community planner from the city of Beloit. Drew is the staff person to the Landmarks Commission. And if you own a historic house in one of our historic districts, and you're going to start working outside in about a month or so, Drew's a great resource for you, and so is the Landmarks Commission. Drew, thanks for taking a few minutes here today.
My pleasure.
A few days ago, the City Council got an annual report from the Landmarks Commission, and generally speaking, the Landmarks Commission looks at exterior alterations to historic properties.
Yep, both within the historic districts as well as on individual landmarks, which are more scattered throughout the city.
Okay, and the purpose of the annual report was to show just some of the activity for the past year. So we have some pictures here. You can see right away one of Beloit's distinctive historic homes on Harrison, I believe. You mentioned they had some work done this year?
Yep, replacement windows.
And you look at that, and it's really quite an attractive property. The Landmarks Commission is part of a city ordinance that established the Landmarks Commission, and this slide kind of tells you in a nutshell really what they do.
Yep, basically they're responsible for overseeing alteration of historic properties.
Okay, and there's an example of someone working on their porch, and I already know if you drive by that house, it's a nice looking porch with nice historic spindles. Citizen members on the board, some of them with particular interest or expertise in historic preservation?
Yep, ideally we'd like to have some representation from a realtor, and we have that. Ideally we'd like to have geographic representation, both someone that lives in or near Bluff Street and on the College Park side as well.
Okay, and I know that there's always a rotation, so if there's someone interested in being on the board in the future, they can contact you, contact the city manager's office, and we can put them in touch with that. We get into kind of the annual report part. You meet monthly, almost monthly?
Yep, very busy in 09.
10 times in 2009, and here's a list of some of the projects that you reviewed. Why don't you just talk about these for a second, kind of go down the list and what's involved here?
Sure. Well, you see on the report that 45 projects were approved. That's an increase over 2008, so that's good, all things considered. And you'll see slightly more than half of the projects are eligible for staff approval, so they're minor projects, things like gutters or replacing a storm door, minor projects that don't require waiting for a monthly meeting. So you just apply, and I will approve them in a couple of business days.
I think that's a good point. If your project can be approved by staff, it's quicker. But if it's a more detailed project and you have to go through the commission, generally, what would you recommend people plan sort of 6 to 8 weeks before their contractor's coming?
Yeah, I mean, I would give it some time. The commission meets monthly, and as you see, it's almost every month that we have some projects. So, the best is just to call and check in with staff. We can give you the deadlines for the upcoming meetings.
Okay. And also, here's some more lists of the types of projects. So really anything exterior on the house, correct?
Correct. Except paint. Paint is not regulated. We have a guide of some suggested color schemes that are very attractive, and you're welcome to pick that up, or we can mail you it, but paint is not restricted.
Okay. And the commission not only reviews these exterior alterations, they get involved in promoting historic preservation in the city as well, don't they?
Mm-hmm. Yep. The Preservation Award was issued to Fairbanks Flats, and the commission sponsored some educational workshops during Heritage Days. They also put together welcome packets for new owners of historic property as well as realtors. And they now have the walking tours of the historic districts are going online. So that's up and running for the East Side District, and the West Side District will be up and running hopefully this summer.
Good. Now, I know the awards are nice, and in some ways they kind of validate the work of the commission. And recently we heard about one in particular that the city got through the work of some of the commissioners, right?
Yes, yes. Some of the commissioners nominated Beloit as a best place to buy an old house, and This Old House magazine recognized that. There's one in each state, and so Beloit was recently selected as the recipient in Wisconsin.
That's great. And what were some of the criteria that you're aware of that went into that selection process?
Basically, places that are below the radar in the preservation world, places that have an abundance of attractive and affordable, intact historic housing. And so also other factors like walkable communities and, you know, commercial centers. The revitalized downtown was a big part of that. Both the districts are basically within walking distance of that. So it's focused on the historic structures themselves, but the larger community also plays a role.
Yeah, and there's no doubt that when you think of the Bluff Street and the College Park, you can walk to the riverfront, you can walk downtown. It's very convenient. Well, that's good. So any, you know, looking ahead to 2010,
well, hopefully it'll continue to be, you know, 45 projects in a year is great. Shows that people are being proactive about handling maintenance issues, whether it's doors, windows, gutters, everything. So hopefully that will continue. If you own a historic property, we mail an annual reminder letter, just basically describing what I've described today. So
Good.
that should be out in May.
and if someone wants to follow up with you, or you know, what's your phone number and how can they contact you? Email questions?
We're on the third floor of City Hall. Also, my phone number is 364-6711.
Okay, good. And so anyone who owns a historic home, before you do anything, call Drew.
Absolutely.
Good. Well, we're going to make a little abrupt transition from history to something that's new with the city and of an animal variety. So let's leave it at that.
Cheryl Simplot is here with us today. She's the environmental coordinator for the city of Beloit, and she has been charged with finding some new and creative ways to promote the Department of Public Works. Cheryl, you want to try to explain that to us today?
Yes, we have to do public education as part of our permit through our pre-treatment program through the EPA, and we have developed a public education committee that has participants from each division of the DPW. So we decided toward the end of last year that probably the money was better spent to put the money into a mascot to do public education and promote the DPW than to put articles in the paper, which most people don't read. So what we wanted to do was get the children and their families more involved, so we did choose a mascot. And if you would like, here he is. This is P.W. Fox,
Today
the newest
we're
member of our team.
Introducing P.W. Fox.
There he is.
And he's got a jaunty little fox walk, or she, whatever P.W. may be. And so P.W.
Any cute though?
He's
Huh?
very cute,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you can pet him. He's a friendly
Yes.
fox.
Very friendly, yep.
Now, P.W. has been, I understand, appearing at some events throughout the city of Beloit lately.
Yep, he's made a couple small appearances, but their first actual activity was at the Special Olympics last Saturday in a chili cook-off. And PW was a big hit with the kids and adults as well. And we have a lot of nice pictures that were taken. And he also is scheduled at about 15 other events this year.
Did PW participate in any of the Special Olympics events? Like, yes, he did.
Actually, he was in a chair and got pushed around on the ice. And
Snowboarding.
well, not quite.
Okay.
We don't want to break him in too hard or have any broken legs, but
Right.
but he was in a chair and he got pushed around by the skaters, and that was quite fun. So PW had a real good time there. So
Now, tell us what PW is going to be promoting for the Department of Public Works.
Actually, PW is going to be promoted at a lot of different things through parks and public works. I think right now he's scheduled for 15 activities. He's going to be at the DPW open house in May. He's going to be at some events for Parks and Leisure Services. Yeah. Well, we'll see what your golf swing looks like later there, PW.
Baseball.
Yeah, they've got a snapper game. Yeah.
Sounds like.
Yeah, it's nice to have him kind of quiet until he needs to get your attention, though.
Right.
And
Cheryl
the kids love his nose and to hug and kiss him, and that's okay, you know. And so, but everyone that becomes PW has to go through a training session to learn how to become a mascot, the right things and wrong things to do to keep themselves cool. And then the person that comes with PW is called the handler, and that's what I'm doing. And then there's some things that you need to learn about being the handler and passing out the public education materials and that. And then you also have to know when the person's getting too warm and when they need to be rehydrated. So there is some work that needs to be involved. Yeah, when they are getting hot or thumbs up, you know, mean they're still doing okay. So there's a lot of communication between the mascot and the handler at these events. But we're very excited to have PW. We're very excited to get out on a lot of these events and get them out to the public. And we really do want the kids and the parents to be involved as a family. That's one of the reasons that we went with a mascot, is that they can enjoy family things together.
Now, you were telling me earlier about some events, something where you're trying to transport children to the river and...
Yes, we have. Last year we started a World Monitoring Day where we actually buy the kits, and Transit was kind enough to provide the buses to transport the kids from the school out to Leeson's Park to do the actual testing of the water. And we're hoping that we would do that program again too. And again, some of the largest problems with the school is the cost of transportation. So the city is trying to provide, for some of these services anyway, the free bus transportation.
So the whole object of PW is not always just to, you know, be cute and be in a parade and have a mascot at an event, but it is educational, and you would be having PW at this event at the river also.
That's true.
Try
He'll
to teach children.
Yep. And we always look at like mercury reduction of mercury in drinking and wastewater, pharmaceuticals. So PW will also be part of all those public education events. So
PW is very expressive.
yes, he is. He's
Now,
great event.
If a group would like to have PW attend an event, how would they go about arranging for that?
Okay, if they call the Water Resources Department and talk to Patty Miller, she's the head of our public education events, and she schedules PW for those events. So they can call out at Water Resources and then talk to Patty about scheduling PW to come to one of their events.
Okay, would there be a charge necessarily for
Well, right
PW?
now, there is no charge for PW. He's a great volunteer, and as long as we can get him to volunteer, we'll be doing well.
He's
so.
free and wild.
Yeah, free and wild, yeah.
So
With the pretty blue eyes.
what is the phone number that people can call?
They can call 608-364-2888.
Okay, well, thank you, PW. Does PW know how to shake paw?
Sure.
Thank you.
He's very intelligent.
Yes. Bye, PW. Thank you so much. And now we're going to join Steve Gregg at another event, another new venue for the city of Beloit, and we'll be at the Transit Transfer Facility. Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you.
In the new Beloit Transit Transfer Center here in downtown Beloit, and this is kind of a sneak preview. And with me today are two people who know a lot about this building, Mike Fallon from the Transit Department and Andy Hill, who's the project engineer here. And let me start with Andy. Andy, I have to tell you right out of the box, I'm a train fan, and I love the look of this building. It looks like a train station. That was intentional, wasn't it?
That was. A lot of train stations have this similar architecture style with the high double pitch roof and so Yeah, it does look like the Beloit station that was down over behind the Daily News building, and a little bit like the one that was up by the church as well.
The best of both of Beloit stations. Now, working on this project, any particular things that were interesting to deal with? I know the weather. I know that we saw from City Hall guys crawling around the rafters in the middle of January. It was freezing.
The weather was a real issue because of the late start we got on the project. A lot of it had to be tented while they were laying the masonry in order to keep the temperatures up high enough for the grouts to cure. Once we got it enclosed, and like we are now, we're able to finish on the interior.
And I see in this building offices, a driver's training room. This is a pretty much a state-of-the-art transit facility, isn't it?
Yeah, it'll provide a place for the riders to get out of the weather. You know, currently they are down on Broad Street, just in the wide open, and the traffic whizzes by. At this point, we'll be getting them away from the traffic issues and into the shelters. We have a series of 5 shelters here, and then this one, which actually provides some warm weather environment for them to sit in.
Well, you mentioned downtown on Broad Street, and Mike, you know, we were chatting before. One thing, this is going to be a pretty permanent long-term facility. You've been with Transit. There have been a number of facilities we've used for this purpose, haven't there been?
Yes, yes. We were started out, when I started with the city, we were at the old Sears location. We had kind of a glass enclosure there. Had a attendant up there selling passes and such. And when Sears left town, we ended up moving around the corner in the backside by the old J.C. Penney's, which is now the library. We had an office in there, but it was kind of the location was kind of dark and unsecured back there, and so we eventually moved downtown and started our operation at State and Broad.
And that was really temporary, and that's probably been, what, about 2 or 3 years, right?
Yeah, we've been down there probably 3 years, I'm guessing, 4 years maybe.
Now, just for people that aren't exactly familiar with how the transit routes work, one of the reasons we kind of have the area, which of course I would call the platform where the trains pull up, but then now it's going to be buses, there's a reason why that's designed that way, isn't it?
Yes, you need plenty of room for turnout for the buses. One bus could leave before the other, and no one bus would have to wait on the other, which is currently a problem downtown as far as buses pulling out. Generally, the bus in front of them would have to move in order for the bus behind them to actually turn out.
And the way the schedules work, the buses all have to come to the same place at around the same time, is that right?
Yes, all the buses would be transferring every half hour down here, on the hour and on the half hour. And we also transfer, we still do transfer at the Eclipse Center, at the library location. That's Route 3. Route 3 goes further out. So we have 2 Route 3s running, an inbound and an outbound Route 3, so we can service that whole northeast side.
Now, we mentioned with Andy about the driver's lounge. From the transit perspective, obviously this is more comfortable for customers, but from the driver's standpoint, this is going to provide some benefit as well?
Yes, currently, you know, because they had no facility as far as their breaks and everything. They'll have a place they can get out of the weather and take a decent break. And also, as far as training goes, they wouldn't have to go back to our facility, which chews up a lot of time. Probably, you know, at least 20 minutes and just windshield time driving back and forth to the facility. So cut a lot of time off of that.
Good. Well, I know you're probably anxious for the end of the month for this to open as well.
We got a lot of work to do yet, so.
That's coming along great. What else still has to be done, Andy?
They need to finish up some of the soffits around the perimeter of the building. You see there's some exterior work to be done. And then later on in the spring, even after the grand opening, we'll be coming back with some more landscaping. We'll be planting trees and shrubs and whatnot in the island areas.
Now, speaking of this area, regular viewers will know that in the wintertime, Pam and I were up on the roof of City Hall with Dave Botts, kind of talking about the whole project down here with the parking lots and everything. I mean, this is really, transit facility is really a small, well, not a small, but is a part of really what has been a very big project for the city.
I think it really dressed the area up nice. To take down that old Gales building, which was kind of an eyesore, and dress it up with a building like this is really a benefit.
And I think people enjoy being able to get over the river and things, so...
Yeah, with the bike path coming right through here too, and connecting the downtown areas with the park areas.
People can ride their bike and then take the bus and come back and go to City Hall. What a day, right? Good. Well, we'll look forward to seeing everybody at the ribbon cutting. I know there'll be some public ceremonies as part of that too, and people can get inside this building and look at the outside and look at the word Beloit just like it used to be on a train station, and that's very exciting for me, and I know it's going to be exciting for the transit department and for the riders. So this was our sneak preview of the new Beloit Transit Transfer Center.
Hi, my name is Deb Fredrickson, and I'm the new Executive Director for Visit Beloit. My leprechaun friend and I are here to welcome you to spring. I'm sure we're all tired of the winter weather and all the snow and all the cold weather, and we're here to welcome spring. And what better way with St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. There's all kinds of things that are going to be going on in downtown Beloit during those festive week of St. Patrick's Day. The businesses, shops, restaurants, they're going to be offering live music, great food, specials for all the Irish and the Irish at heart. What would St. Patrick's Day be without the traditional Irish music and corned beef and cabbage? Well, Suds is offering both the traditional and contemporary Irish music and corned beef and cabbage. And for everyone that isn't so much a night owl, they're also open at 6 a.m. with the new traditional corned beef and hash. So you don't have to stay out till the wee hours in the morning with the leprechauns. Watch for all the Irish fare at all our fine eating establishments. There's something for everybody down here during St. Patrick's Day. Many of the shops and businesses are going to have specials and will be wearing the green. Make sure and stop by our newest retail store, the Little Green Dress. Kind of reminds you a little bit of Ireland with that, doesn't it? Make sure to also look for all the posters and brochures that will be out beginning March 12th, so you can definitely plan everything that you're going to be doing down here for the week. Remember, everyone's Irish on St. Paddy's Day. And also, don't forget to join Friends of the Riverfront for their annual Rise and Shine beginning at 10 a.m. on March 20th. Find out all the exciting things that are going to be happening on the riverfront in Beloit all summer long. And make sure you pick up your calendar too that highlights everything happening in the spring and summer so that you can hang it in your office or on your refrigerator and remind you of all the things that we have to offer. And also, may your thoughts be as glad as the shamrocks. May your heart be as light as a song. May each day bring you bright, happy hours that stay with you all year long. Also, remember to visit us at visitbeloit.com for all the new and exciting things that are happening. And also, become a fan of ours on Facebook. And every day you'll find something new and exciting that Beloit has to offer. And we look forward to seeing you at all our events.
Hey, Steve, what are you doing?
Oh, hi. Hey, I'm here waiting for the first bus.
You're going to be waiting a while, I've got to tell you.
Yeah, well, that was a pretty nice building, though. I can tell you, even just sitting out here, which is lovely. But in the winter months, it'll be nice to have a place to go inside if you're waiting for the bus.
Yeah, it'll be beautiful. I mean, look at the scenery around here. And
I know. I can sit here in the summertime. Maybe we just come over from work and have lunch and sit here and look at the park.
Yes, yeah.
Well, all right. So we got March, St. Patrick's Day, foxes, historic preservation.
Well, that covers a lot, doesn't it?
It does. It does. And I guess that means April. Who knows what we'll put on the list.
Oh, there's always something going on.
Well, all right. Well, for the March edition of Beloit Today, and while I'm sitting here waiting for the bus, this is Steve Gregg.
And Pam Lathrop.
Thank you.